Kundalini Research Foundation here in Zurich, Switzerland, speaking to Pandit Gopi Krishna at this autumn, 1976. Our moderator is Joseph F Dippong. Pandit Gopi Krishna, now in his 70s, is a yogi scientist philosopher. He normally resides in Srinagar, Kashmir, a province of India, but he has traveled abroad in order to meet with scientists and scholars interested in his lifelong work, which is Kundalini research. Mr. Gopi Krishna is the greatest living authority today on the awakening of the Kundalini and its entire ramification influencing every aspect of human life. He speaks of a very personal experience of his own, where the same divine power has been awakened within him after 17 years of meditation. As the Pandit will explain, Kundalini research is the key to understanding every mystery and paranormal phenomena which now defies scientific, rational explanation. Kundalini research offers a comprehensive and testable approach to elucidating the entire spectrum of biological, psychological, sociological, and spiritual experiences which constitutes human life. Because the work of Gopi Krishna is fundamental to the advance of science and to the future well-being of global society, we have asked him to give us his views on various aspects of the Kundalini experience. Joseph Dippong, who will deliver the questions, is the president and founder of the Kundalini Research Institute of Canada and the president and founder of the Canadian Psychic Research Foundation. He has been actively involved for numerous years in teaching meditation and spiritual healing and has been pursuing the areas of the Kundalini phenomena since his very own divine experience, which occurred several years ago. Mr. Dippong's investigation into the wide range of paranormal phenomena and into the systems for self-development and expanded awareness led him to conclude that Gopi Krishna had identified an area of crucial significance for humanity. He also recognized that Kundalini research is the single most important topic for science to examine. We now turn you over to the conversation between the two men, which has already begun.
Mr. Pandit Gopi Krishna, there are no words that I can describe how honored I am that I am able to be here with you today and that I am having this task and a pleasure that I could put some important questions that could be answered by you, or could perhaps clarify some thinking in people's minds. I have several questions that I had put forth, and the first one is has something to do with evolution as to versus the Kundalini power and the evolution of man, and how would this relate to the evolution process in man versus Darwin theory. And perhaps if you care to make a comment on this, how would this evolutionary process and the philosophy compare into the story in the Bible and Genesis of Adam and Eve? So it's a pretty long question.
It is a pleasure for me also to answer it. Now, according to the present view, evolution is a process by which life has progressed on Earth from simplest cellular organizations to more complex ones. For instance, it is held that the first organism was a one-cellular growth, which later on became more and more and more complex until it culminated in man. How this happened, there is no satisfactory answer to this question. The answer is given that it was heredity and natural selection and struggle for existence and other such solutions are offered for this problem. How a plant grew into an animal, how a fish became a reptile, how a reptile became a quadruped, these questions are not very satisfactorily answered. All that is said is that this happened by chance mutations and that it was the struggle of the creatures against the elements that changed their form and gave them certain definite organic proportions. The general trend of the theory is that evolution has been planless and aimless. It has all been a chance, an accident by which matter built itself into living creatures and finally into man. If we now examine this theory, we find that what is said actually happens before our eyes. For instance, we see that after the combination of the seed of the man and woman, there is a process of growth from a very microscopic speck into an infant into the womb of the mother. And after that, also by a mysterious process of growth, into a full-grown man. So, considered from this angle, evolution is going on before our very eyes. And this principle was also recognized by Greeks. Some Greek philosophers held that life had grown by evolution. Similarly, there is also an Indian theory of evolution, but the difference between the Indian theory and the Darwinian concept is that it is the soul that evolves. It is not matter, it is not the primary cell built of matter which is evolving, but that there is a principle, a life principle, which is evolving from very primary formation into more complex ones. Now the question arises, could dead matter without any intelligent energy or principle in it, purely by accident and random mutations, develop into man and build such a marvelously complex organ as the human brain? What now scientists are facing at present are certain inexplicable phenomena in the brain itself. The knowledge of the brain as yet is very incomplete, and there is no knowledge of the life energy. It is clear that it is neither a chemical energy, nor an electronic energy, nor a gravitational energy. It is not any energy known to science, but all the same, bodies live, they spend energy, they work, they run, they stand, they eat, they sleep. What energy is functioning in the human body or in the body of the animals or even in the plants? We have no answer about it from science. The tragedy has been that these speculations have been premature. The speculation about evolution, the speculation about life, they have taken place when nothing was known or very little was known about the brain. Now, after about 100 years, brain experts are coming forward with explanations that it does not appear that neurons are responsible for the life energy. There is some other element working in a living body in the brain which we have not been able to understand so far completely. And this element is mind. it is now held by specialists that mind has been the dominating force and the guiding force in evolution rather than matter. Therefore, already science is awakening to the realization that the previous assumptions have been precipitate, and that without the knowledge of one part of human beings, that is mind, the older scientists jumped to the conclusion that all this was a play of matter. Although the older philosophers like Plato or Socrates or Plotinus or the Indian philosophers, their viewpoint was that life itself is so peculiar and it has such characteristics that it cannot come out of earth or matter or something dead. There must be a source for it which is living, which is conscious. But somehow this fact was overlooked by the scientists of the last 1 or 2 centuries. And this presumption was held that matter could explain consciousness also. Now here, digressing a moment, let us examine consciousness. All this theory of evolution is a product of consciousness. It did not fall from the sky. It did not come out of the earth, but it is a product of the human brain. And we are negating the same substance that has given rise to this theory. We are cutting at the roots of ourselves, of the fount of knowledge that we have inside, when we say that life has come out of matter and that there is no plan and no design in the universe. We are cutting at our own roots, because the first thing that a man has is design and plan. It is astounding what ignorance has been displayed by these proponents of the theory of evolution. You see, they say that the whole evolution is planless. It has no design. It has come about by accident. And what has it produced? A man who works by design and plan. You can understand the absurd contradiction that they are making. They are just negating their own existence and allowing the human mind to be subservient to dark forces, dead forces, unconscious forces of matter. This has been one of the greatest blunders in history. And the present condition of the world, disbelief and disharmony, crime and aggression, they also partly owe their existence to the uprooting of faith in the human minds. It is only a faith in the design and in the law of the universe, in divine judgment, in a divine power behind creation that can keep the human mind on its path of evolution. Otherwise, there is no other power to check his wild tendencies, no power on earth. But this one idea, this idea that there is a God who watches my actions, there is a God to whom we have to worship, to whom we have to pray, this one idea, the neglect of it has resulted in the present condition of mankind.